Hey Matt, the senior day, so many of your players talked about your staff, your assistant coaches. Why don't you talk about those guys a little bit and what they do for you?
Right. Yeah, we have a great staff. Obviously, being familiar with them. Brandon's been here 11, 12 years. I always get confused about how long guys have actually been places when they've been there a long time. But we played together in college, and Paul Lusses is his second stint here. Obviously, he was my assistant at Southern Illinois, and then at Purdue before he went to Missouri State as a head coach, and now back after going to Creighton. You know, the breakdown of what we do, like we specialize. So Brandon does a lot of personnel. Brandon works with the big guys. Paul works with the guards. Then he does defensive scouts. Terry Johnson does defensive scouts also. I actually coached my first year in coaching. Terry has twin cousins that I coached. And so like everybody, you know, you kind of have a connection. And obviously being with Brad Stevens and Micah Shrewsbury and all the success that they had at Butler, and then being in our league at Ohio State. Elliot Bloom is our director of basketball operations, who does a fabulous job. He asks me questions, but he really already has the answers. But he's fabulous in what he does. He just really understands things and has a balance. A lot of times in that position, someone will float a coach in there, and then they really don't want to do those type of things, right? And it just makes for not being very organized. But he's very, very organized and very intelligent, and he keeps us all in the right spots. But PJ Thompson and Sasha, obviously former players that are with us. PJ runs our offense. Sasha does specials, side out of bounds and out of bounds plays. But both of those guys are very intelligent, very loyal guys, and they've done wonders for us. It really helps people that can run something that they physically have done themselves. That has really helped us. I don't like having different voices, and we used to. Like, you go to a timeout, and your coaches get together, and they confuse you more than they help you. You get like 3 or 4 different views, and it's just like, well, shit, we got 30 seconds here. Like, I was hoping you could help me and it didn't. So I specialize things like football. So like I have a guy who does the scout, they alternate scouts. I have a guy that does personnel. I have an offensive guy. I have out of bounds, side out of bounds, and specials into one package. And so that really, really helps. Our graduate managers, Jared Wilburn and Tommy Lewis, both played for us. And those guys work our guys out a lot. So they build relationships with them just like we do. But I think it's important to have some people close to the player's age that they can relate to, especially when they want to vent. And but you can't have enough truth tellers on your staff. I think so many things happen in recruiting to where you got to sell to get somebody. Then they get there and it's not 100% or ideally the way you said it, and then you lose trust real quick. And I don't like that at all. So like I want those guys, and even if I'm not saying things that they like to hear, I'm just being honest with them and telling them like this is how it is, this is where it is. And then if you have a staff that is all on the same page, now it's healthy. It might not always be what they want, but you're just trying to be truthful with them and tell them, because if you're honest with guys through adversity, that's how you're going to grow. And that's how your individual players are going to grow, that's how your team is going to grow, and you also got to be able to admit when you're wrong. So I think having that humility as a coach is very important.
Matt, to have a season like you've had, you have to be good, you have to have some luck, and I think you have to be healthy. And given what happened today, how big of a deal is the third part of that, where for the most part the season you've been relatively healthy across the board?
Right, yeah, we got banged up a little bit during the game. Obviously, Braden went down and Zach went down. They both were able to push through it. But yeah, you have to have some luck from a health standpoint. Sometimes when guys are just kind of coming and going and you don't have your complete puzzle, it's hard to grow. It's hard to grow together. But, knock on wood, we've done a good job. Our training staff's done a good job of preparing our guys and helping our guys and just staying healthy. But you want to keep getting better. There's different styles throughout the year, right? You go non-conference, you go conference, and you're just trying to get ready and keep getting better. But I think our guys have done a good job of keeping their poise and being resilient when they've had to. But I also think they've done a good job in terms of taking care of themselves.
Right. 3-point shooting kind of held the team back a little bit, percentage-wise last season. Why has it been so much better this year? Other than just having good shooters, why are
Right.
they making more shots?
Yeah, you know, obviously they worked really hard, like, you know, having a skill level and being able to shoot the basketball, whether that's Braden, Fletch, Lance, Mason, Cam Heidi, Miles, the guys that, you know, obviously, you know, take the most. So your percentages are going to raise if you make better decisions and you take better shots. You know, we had a couple tough ones to start the game because they're not very good shots. And but for the most part, you know, when you have a dynamic point guard and you have a guy that gets the attention that Zach Edey does, you know, be ready to shoot and step in there and take them in rhythm. And we've done a good job of offensive rebounding, so that helps even more. That, you know, when we're taking good shots, that, you know, we got a chance to make them, but we also got a chance to rebound the ball.
Matt, this class is going to leave here with the most wins in conference play of all time. What does that say about them? And then the fact that if that record gets broken, it's probably going to be by the class they've helped underneath.
Right. Yeah. Well, that's what you want to keep doing, right? You want to keep, you know, having the most successful class in Purdue history or Big Ten history or whatever it might be, and, you know, keep getting better. And at the end of the day, that's what they're going to go and look at. And those media guys and stuff, they're going to go back and look and see, like, you know, you can't change that when you're winning games and you're having success and you're building off of that. But no, I'm happy for him. You know, obviously I talked about Jaden Ivey a little bit, and he helped with that in his first 2 years, but they've worked hard. There's nobody out there standing there that didn't work for it. And we've had tough times, obviously, but we haven't made excuses, and we've continued to fight, and I think that's helped us get better.
Matt, building off that, this senior class, how much of an advantage is it to have them rub off on these younger classes and incoming ones?
Yeah, it's so important, you know, just kind of teaching, you know, guys the ropes and understanding there's no quick fix. And you got to keep working, and you got to, you know, stay positive. We have some really good younger players that haven't played a whole lot. That, you know, in a lot of scenarios, like, you know, how are they going to respond to that? But they see the end result of getting your degree from Purdue, improving, getting better. There's nobody out there standing that hasn't improved here. Like, they've all gotten better, but we've also kept things in check. We've had a good balance, and I think that's what you have to have. You have to have a good balance of those guys getting their education and improving, you know, as basketball players collectively, because it's such a, we have such an individual landscape. You know, if you go and watch international basketball, FIBA basketball, you know, their togetherness, they practice more together at young ages. We put teams together and practice for 2 to 3 weeks and go and play in games. Like, if you're the best player, you know, in Croatia as a 13, 14-year-old, you go with the other best players and you train and you live with them, and, you know, it's a little different because our education is lined with our athletics, where theirs isn't. There's, you know, their athletics is in club sport. And so, like, when you see that, and you see that togetherness, like, that's so important, and that's what we get when we come to college. Whereas now the portals come in there, and now that's going to upset the apple cart a little bit, because you have so much movement. You have people leaving AAU teams, you have people leaving college teams, you have people leaving. Well, if you never stay in one place for very long, how can you grow? How can you get better? People say, well, they have the right to do that. And there's got to become some point where the people that are in charge, or the people that have those decisions to make, that they look at it like, well, why don't we do what's best for somebody instead of what we want to do? Like, think about growing up with your parents and you got to do whatever the hell you wanted to do instead of them telling you things or whatever. Like, would you be sitting here? I know I wouldn't. I'd be going on Tuesday in Muncie, Indiana, and playing slow pitch softball. Like, it just, like, and it's a joke, but it's also true. I just wouldn't. If you allowed me to do what I wanted to do when I was 18, 19, 20 years old, I mean, it would have been hell. You know, just because you constantly are on an emotional whim just to do what you feel like you should be doing, instead of someone saying, no, you're not doing that. This is what's best for you. And then you start to speak and they tell you to shut up, and you end up doing it, and then 15 years later, you don't think your old man's a fool, right? That's the way it works.
Mike?
Right there with you.
I saw some head nods. Yeah, you think your old man's a dipshit when you're 17 and you turn 34 and you're like, you know what? He's not quite the dipshit that I know.
But I would love to bowl with you on Tuesday.
Oh, hey, I had me a 185 last time.
Um, 2 plays from this game, the
Yeah.
Colvin steal that led to Fletcher's 3
Yeah.
there, and then Caleb's 3-pointer
Right.
from the corner.
It was big.
Just as you now get into the postseason, do those plays become difference makers and they magnify a little bit?
Yeah, because they've just loaded up on him. They've just made the decision like, okay, you're not gonna beat us right here. So they covered down ball side with somebody who's shooting in the 40s, you know, and he makes around 2 threes a game. So like, that was a big, you know, I think he wanted him to go on the dribble, and he didn't, and he just kind of overdid it, and Zach made a good pass. And then we had some other good looks that didn't go down. I was actually subbing Mason for Caleb, you know, while he hit that shot, so I hope Caleb realizes that I didn't like, he hit the 3, and hey, go get him. But no, that was great. Happy for Caleb that, you know, he made that shot, and, but that's where we've gotten sometimes when they just overdo things. You know, so those shots were huge, getting the steal and leading to that, and then Caleb making that. So both Fletch and Caleb's 3s were big time.
Yeah, you talked about those big moments. What else kind of helped you stem the tide there as they brought it to within 4, and then you guys went on that run? So.
Right. Yeah, just, you know, we had some turnovers, like our numbers not, you know, great there with 14, like, and we were just kind of casual with the basketball. But no, when they cut it, they did that. We were able to make some shots, make some plays, and kind of settle down. And you can't extend your lead unless you're getting stops. And so, you know, we had a sequence in there where we weren't getting any stops. Like, they were living at the rim. And we decided to play a certain way against them and be one-on-one with Tyler Wall and Zach, and he made a couple nice plays. But Blackwell got away from us. I thought he made some really nice plays, and that was really hurting us. Tyler Wall was at the rim, but that was our decision, right? We made that decision, but I thought Blackwell made some really nice plays. He's a good player. His dad was a good player.
Craig?
Yeah, Wisconsin seemed to come in and play ultra physical today, and just how do you get your team to play through that and kind of not get frustrated with that added physicality?
Yeah, that's just part of major college basketball. Like, you know, you got to be able to be physical without fouling, but you also got to embrace it. Like, don't look at it like it's anything different. Like, you know, expect it. And but I thought we were good. I thought we had a couple stretches there where we gave up too many offensive rebounds, and I didn't think we were physical with our box outs, but you have to be careful, like chucking people and on cutters and things like that. You got to, you know, try to beat them to spots and be physical and not let them get those post ups or not let that get clean. Even if they end up getting it, just that resistance will push them out a little further than they want to be.
Matt, 10, 15 years from now, when you're thinking about Zach Edey, will there be like 1 or 2 memories, either on the floor or off the floor, that you will think about?
Well, the one memory is just, you know, how far he's come. Like, when you see those, they showed clips other day of each one of our guys. First basket at Purdue, and Zach Edey looks like a different person. The haircut, the body, just everything. Obviously, he's 7'4", right? But the thing that jumps out with me with him is his competitive spirit. You know, you get some big guys and they just get bad calls, right? Every big guy, you don't understand like how many times I've went to see a big guy play in high school, you know, 2 quick whistles, he's in foul trouble, and then now he's tentative, and rightfully so, right? He wants to stay in the game. And so it forces those guys to be pretty tentative, and he's not. You know, just his competitive spirit, man. He plays hard, he wants to win. And then the other thing that'll jump out is, you know, he didn't get recruited very hard. So like, he doesn't look at himself that way, which really allows you to be selfless, especially when it comes to passing. You know, he was a terrible passer when he got here, and now he's a great passer, but he's always been a willing passer. And sometimes guys that are good, they got a tough time prying the ball out of their hands. But it just completes guys. When you got the ability to score and you got the ability to pass, now you're just raising the value of your team. So that's what I'll think. And then when I said, you know, other night, like, he always shows, he shows up. I don't want to talk about it in the past tense. We're still playing, but he just shows up, man. Like, you'd be surprised, like, you go play in a game and you're like, well, this guy didn't show up. Like, holy shit, like, come on, man. Like, you got to play. Like, you're competing. Why wouldn't you? Like, never. Like, he's had bad games. He's turned it over. Like, he's had some, you know, some stinkers. but it hasn't been from, not competing, and it's a big statement. Julian?
Coach, as we turn to the postseason, and the Big Ten tournament in Minneapolis, you guys gunning for a second straight Big Ten postseason championship. What would that mean to you and to Purdue, and finally the legacy of Zach Edey?
Yeah, I think it'd be cool. It's not the biggest thing. Obviously, playing well in the NCAA tournament is the biggest thing. So, just I always keep it pretty simple. Like in terms of just win the next game. Just worry about the next game. Don't get caught up in anything else. You're lucky to win, fortunate to win, whatever the word is. Then let's see who's going to play the next game and who wins that one, and we'll play them. But it's going to be people you're familiar with. It's going to be people that you've played against. So, but no, I think it's anytime you can win. I think we've been in the finals 5 times. We've won 2 of them. But anytime you can, compete and win a championship like we did this year and last year, and win the tournament like we did last year, I think it's cool. I think it's a good experience for guys. I think Zach Edey's legacy is going to be, just through his development, his overall success, and the success of our program. Like he's the most successful class we've had here. So it speaks volumes. We've had the most wins in the Big Ten in the last 10 years. So I think that sometimes that gets brushed to the side at Purdue. But it doesn't get brushed to the side by the people we compete against. They know. So I don't think we resonate with everybody nationally. I don't think we resonate with everybody within the Midwest, but we resonate with the people we compete against.
Where does he fit, Coach, as far as the pantheon of players that have been at Purdue, from the Chilbury Carrolls to the big dogs, and you were a teammate of? Where does he fit in that?
Well, he's definitely in there. He's our all-time leading rebounder, and he's going to be our all-time leading scorer. He's in the most successful class. He's won 2 Big Ten championships, so he's been to a Sweet 16. So I think that's the next step for him. For me, for us, is to do better in the NCAA tournament. Right? It's a hard thing to do because everybody earns their way into that one. But no, he's great. But I'm proud of him because he's become a passer, and that's going to help him professionally. And he's a much better defensive player. He's a 2-way player. He's one of the top defensive players in our league. He changes things out there. He gets scored on here and there, but he changes things. They gotta deal with him on both ends.
Sam and then Brian.
Thank you.
I think something that gets lost is that Zach actually reclassified and then wasn't probably your option number 1.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny how things work out, but he gets here with basically no high school stats to speak of.
Right.
How much do you pinch yourself to I know you guys developed him and he
Right.
had to buy in, but the way this worked out, you couldn't have imagined, not recruiting that guy now looking back.
Right. Yeah, when he reclassed, we had lost out on 2 guys. So the guys we lost out on was Hunter Dickinson and Ryan Kalkbrenner. Those were the 2 guys. But when Ryan and Hunter told us no, he hadn't reclassed yet. So he wasn't in that class. But that is his class. In Canada, everybody normally goes 5 years. So it's just normal. So when he made the shift from Canada to go to IMG, he's like, and he wasn't a player at the time. So he's like, I need more time. And then he started getting, some attention and with that. So, things turn out, it can go against you sometimes. You just think hey man, this guy here is the guy, right? And then you get him and he's not the guy. Then you take somebody and you're like, I'm not sure, and then they end up being a pretty good player. So if you just keep working hard, and because you're gonna make mistakes in recruiting, and then you're gonna, get a gym like that, and it's just one of those deals where you just gotta keep working at it, and if it works out great, if it doesn't, and you gotta obviously make better, more good decisions than bad decisions, right? So you got 13 scholarships, and if you can be right about 70% of the time, you're in business. But you got transfers, you got injuries, you got different things. I don't like being like that, but I recruited more towards role definition at times. I overdo it sometimes, but I want to get the right person. I want to get, I want to try to recruit some harmony. that might sound crazy to you, but I just think if you just go and get a whole bunch of talented guys, and production's not at the forefront, or they don't understand how they're going to play or their role definition, or they just don't have the makeup to be able to adjust. So, but with that being said, like, we were fortunate, right? I didn't know he was two-time National Player of the Year, you know, like, but I did think he would be good. I just didn't know when he would be good. I thought he had good hands, he had good feet. He just needed repetition and work. So right away I was like, hey, when he's open throwing the ball, well, he's always open. You know what I mean? He's like one of those stand-up freezers. He's always open. And so like those guys, like, I'm gonna pass it to him. He's gonna turn it over. Like, throw it to him. Throw it to him. So a lot of big guys get recruited and they go places. They never throw them the ball. Like, you got to throw them the basketball for them to be a part of it. Like, you want them to rebound, you want them to defend, but like, throw them the basketball. Like, let them play, let them participate. But you got to do drill work. You got to get them in a sense to where, all right, here's what we're working on, and when it goes live, here's what you're doing. Like, you can't do all the stuff we're working on. You're not ready for all that, but we got to keep developing. We got to keep getting better. So like, that was something for him. That adjustment took a little bit of time, but not a lot of time. Like, he makes adjustments. Like, he's not a fool. He's an intelligent person.
Last one, Brian.
I don't want this to sound redundant, but what has he meant to you personally? It just seems like you talk about him a little bit differently than a lot of the great players you have.
Yeah. Well, he's a two-way player, first of all. And like, I've never been around someone that other people have to game plan so much about. Isaac Haas was the answer to that. Like, people had to game plan for Isaac Haas. And now when I got him, I'm like, well, they're gonna have to game plan like Isaac. And now it's you know, obviously more than that. It's really enhanced. But no, he just kept getting better. You know, you like guys that play hard, and you like guys that are unselfish and they're about winning. And you know, those are his attributes. And when you have that kind of elite size to go along with his skill level, you got the best player in the country.
When did you start calling him Zachary?
Huh?
When did you start calling him Zachary?
I've always called him Zachary. It's his name.
It's his formal name.
Huh?
Do people call you Matthew?
No.
There you go.
Well, I have more data. I'm older. Thank you.
Thank you, man.